35. Life is a dream, time like a stream carries our burdens away. Never despair, joys everywhere. Love can befriend you today. Freed from all care, like birds on the air, soar above griefs and worries, seek joy and be gay. Often on earth, things of great worth, worldly ambitions defy. Sometimes a friend helps us ascend up from life's curse to the sky. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Now I invite Prem to get us started.
So today's topic is the freedom and joy of non-attachment. A mere looking at these words will raise a doubt in our minds. How is it possible? How a non-attachment can give you joy or give you freedom? Rather, it should have been the other way around. When we practice non-attachment, what happens? We don't run behind the desires, so we become desireless persons. No enjoyment in life. And when we don't get attached to our relations, we don't have any emotions. We have the fear of losing our relations. So why we say that non-attachment will give you joy? It will give you. The subtle understanding of this will give you this awareness. Normally, it is said that if you want to get success in any adventure or in any project, you need a focused energy. We fix a goal and we look at that goal or we look at that desired results. And we say that you will get success because we are looking at the goal and we are doing our work. It is not looking at the goal that give you the success. Because then what will happen? If you will focus at the goal only, some of the energy will be given there for the future, which is the thing which is going to happen. But what is required? We have to live in the present. We have to give whole of the energy here at the moment. When focused energy is put at present, only then you will get success. And now about relations. We take an example. Your wife seeks affection from you, or your husband, he seeks care from you, and you are practicing this non-attachment, you don't bother. Even if she is sick, you say, it hardly affects me. I am practicing this non-attachment. What will happen to your relations? The relations will get strained. You may have to lose the relation. And if one of your friends come to you who is passing through a difficult phase of life, he asks for help from your side, and you say, I can't help you because I am practicing this non-attachment. What will happen? You will lose your friend. Is this was the meaning, is this was the purpose of our gurus or of the scriptures to practice this non-attachment this way? No. They say that you have to be compassionate with everyone. Renunciation is from inside, but outwardly you have to be very careful. You have to give love to everyone. You have to give your compassionate relations. So Swamiji has specifically said this thing, that when you deal with your relations, and especially with the close relations, you have to become very mature. And he has given a principle of maturity. He says maturity is the ability to relate appropriately the outer realities than of our own. If you practice this principle, you will be able to keep your relations alive throughout your life. Right? Now, as I mentioned you earlier, that you may think that if we practice this non-attachment, we will be a desireless person. It is not the desire which gives you trouble. You know, Swamiji, he was a man of very good taste. His liking for the things was beautiful. And if you look at his collections, I happen to be in Ananda village, in Crystal Hermitage. Bharat knows it better because he had been there so many times. So beautiful things, craftsmanship, statues and portraits, very beautiful things. Whenever he visited any place, Swamiji, and he looks at something, oh wow, it is so beautiful, why not to buy it? And persons like us will think, Swamiji is attached to all these things, that's why he's buying these articles or things. No. What he would do, he will buy the thing. He will keep that thing for some time, maybe for a year or so. Then he will gift it to someone. And when this thing happens, what will happen to your energy? Energy will rise and it will expand. Because expansion is only in giving, not in taking. So you have not to own the thing, but you may possess the thing. You have not to kill your desires, but you have not to get attached to the desires. Right? And Master, our Guru, one of the disciples, he gifted him one overcoat and with cap. And that was very beautiful, very costly coat. Master looked at it. He said, no, it is too much. I won't take it. I won't accept it. He said, Master, I have particularly bought it for you. Please accept it. He said, but it is too much for me. He said, please. Master said, okay. So one evening he was to go to attend one function. Dinner was there. So he thought, why not to put this coat and cap? So he put that coat and went for the dinner. And outside the hall, there was a provision that you can hang your coat there and put it in the cupboard. So he hung the coat and went inside, had his dinner. But once he comes out, he found the coat missing. It was lost. Somebody picked it up. And what was the immediate reaction of Master? Oh, Divine Mother, thank you so much. You have saved me from trouble. But why didn't you take cap also? That should have been the attitude. Don't get attached to the things. Enjoy the things and then pass it on. Whatever you are possessing, whatever you are owning, every night, as the affirmation was there, put those things in the fire of God. I own nothing. Everything is given to God. Only then you will have a free flow of energy. Otherwise, what will happen? Your life will be blocked by ego consciousness. You will get attached to each and everything. Then your energy will not be free. You will not have free flow. Unless the energy has a free flow, it cannot give you the joy. And whenever you do anything, don't think that you are doing this thing. He is the doer. And don't expect any desired result out of that, not even from the meditation. Do your best and leave everything upon God. Only then you will have the inner joy and freedom. Thank you so much.
You know, there is a story that when we talk about attachments and the things that comes to mind from the autobiography of a yogi, which of course non-attachment to some degree has to do also with renunciation. And it's the story of Baduri Mahashaya. I think you will all remember, but a disciple told him, because he had come from a wealthy family. Baduri Mahashaya, in case you don't remember, is the levitating saint. And somebody told him, oh, Master, you are so great. You have given up all this wealth in order to live a simple life, that, of here in the ashram, of renunciation, whatever it may be. And then Baduri Mahashaya told the disciple, no, you are getting it all wrong. The worldly people are the actual renunciates. They renounce a whole lot of a kingdom of inner joy and bliss for a few rupees, basically saying. And it's fun how he reversed that we think so often that the things of this world are what are going to give us true joy. And why we talk about non-attachment, and Prem Inder said it very beautifully, is because it really makes us lose the consciousness of the present moment, the enjoyment of the present moment, and our dependence on enjoyment as well. Because, see, when we are attached to things, or to people, or to situations, or whatever, basically we are giving them a lot of energy, and we are giving them a lot of power over our well-being as well. Why should we not be attached to things? It's because if those things are taken away from us, or if those things change in some way or the other, we react. We react, and we usually react in a not very positive way. Because if we are attached, it means, well, many a times people are attached to bad things as well, don't get me wrong. But usually, even when that's the funny thing, even when you're attached to bad things, when they're taken away from you, you feel a certain hole, that something in you is missing, and you don't feel complete. Which is something very strange to think, and that's the whole point of people going through toxic relationships, for example. They endure so much, but they also become attached to it. And when it's taken away from them, instead of rejoicing, the first thing that happens is people will go, they become very hurt or this or that. Later on, when all that clears up, they feel, oh wow, actually I feel so free. And that's the whole thing. Whenever we are able to not give so much energy, dependence to things outside of ourselves, we find a lot of freedom. And because we feel free, we feel joyful as well. That we really feel, wow, it really doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's sunny, if people mistreat me or not. I can be happy nevertheless. I can be complete in myself, as this reading was also saying. So attachment really is just giving a lot of energy to something that we are bound to that thing. I think though, as yogis, most of us, we feel it easier not to be attached to things. I think we feel like we can more easily give up things or live with less most of the time. But the thing is that we can be attached to so many other things. I think the material plane is the least of them. How many of us are attached to our opinions about things? That whenever somebody says something contrary to it, we're like, no, let me tell you about this thing. I read the other day in Google that they say this actually. Or how many times we are attached to our own emotions and feelings about something. Or how many times are we attached to so many subtle things. In his interpretation of the Gita, Swamiji went to this degree that, of the subtlety that someone, let's say imagine someone comes to you and asks you for advice. Happens to all of us at some point or the other. Somebody will ask for our advice. Well, what is the tendency? You will give your best advice that you can, isn't it so? But there is an expectation that whatever you tell someone, they're going to do it. Right? Isn't it so? They have asked, so I guess they're going to do it. Well, that's also an attachment. That we are attached to people doing what we tell them to do, even if they have asked us for help, and even if we are trying to help them in their best intention. Even those subtle things, eventually we had to let go of. Now, attachments are what really creates a lot of our desires and especially a lot of our habits, or bad and good habits, because we are attached to something or the other. But it's interesting to see that why Krishna says Nishkam Karma, attachment without desire for the fruit of action. Now, Prem Inder said part of it, but also it seems to me that very few people are attached to what they do per se. Like, if you have a particular job, you are not necessarily attached to the kind of job that you are doing, but you are attached to your salary perhaps, the ability it gives you to do a particular, put a particular energy out, whatever it may be. But usually it's not to the thing itself, but it's to the result that we get from the thing that we are attached. Even when we are indulging a bad habit or watching a movie or whatever it may be, it's not the movie that we are attached to, it's what the movie gives us that we are attached to. The enjoyment or the thrill that it gives us, or the emotions that it stirs in us, those are the things that we really are attached to. That's why the whole concept also of Nishkam Karma, because we seek those experiences. Whatever we do is to seek a certain experience. And that can be a big trap. It is a big trap for all of us. But the fun thing is that around us in nature, there is clues that tells us, like Prem Inder said, we don't need to own anything in order to be happy, in order to enjoy it. Take, for example, the sunset. Nobody can say they own the sunset and you have to pay copyrights every time you look at it or take a picture of it. Nobody owns it. Nobody owns the clouds, the rain, the trees. Well, I guess some trees maybe. But you can look at all these things and feel the enjoyment of just being in nature, of God in creation. But you are completely free. You don't know any of it. And so it is that we should see everything in our life. Because in the end, it's all a dream. And the more we are attached to this dream, the more we'll come back to the dream. Um, that's the beauty of sleep. There is a story that a master used to tell of a man who, his wife came, he was just sitting by a tree and pondering very deeply. And the wife comes, all emotional, tells him, our son was bitten by a cobra and he's passed away. And the man didn't say anything, he was just lost in thought. And you can imagine the wife, he said, what are you, heartless? What are you doing? Your son just died. And the man, who was a wise man, he said, you don't understand what happened. Last night, I dreamed that I was a king, and I had 5 sons, and they all were bitten by cobras, and they all died. So I'm not sure if I should be weeping for those 5 sons or from that dream, or this one son from this dream. And he understood that it is all a dream, really. The thing is that this one seems much more real than the other. Now, when we are caught in the other dream, we really have no awareness of this particular dream. It is always frustrating because when the best part of the dream comes, you wake up usually, isn't it so? And the thing that differentiates this dream than the other dream is that this dream has a sense of continuity, you know? We wish we could just go back to sleep and pick up from where we were last time in our dream, but we can't, or very rarely we can. But this dream, somehow when we wake up, we pick it up from wherever. Good or bad, we pick it up from wherever we were. So it has the appearance of being so much more real. So what is the key for us to see this is to wake up even further. So from subconscious, we go to the conscious mind, and we realize that the dream world of the subconscious. So it is that's why we meditate, that's why we try to raise our consciousness, to actually wake up even further into the superconscious dream that goes beyond all dreams, to see that this world also has not a reality of its own. However, as Prem Inder very well said, this kind of attitude can very easily become negligence, become apathy, and that's not the key. Because as yogis, we understand that we cannot do anything without putting great energy. As Krishna says, in order to achieve the actionless state, you have to be very active first. We have, as yogis, to learn how to put tremendous amount of energy in whatever God has given us in our duties, in order to use that energy to get out of the dream altogether. We use whatever God has given us to raise our level of energy. So then when we meditate, then when we go inside, we use all that energy to get out of this particular dream. And that's something very important. We have to always remember that it is our duty to do the best we can in this world, but yet to remember, to remind ourselves that this is not really where we belong. Once we pass away, people may remember us for a little bit, but then we'll also be a dream in this world as well. And the other point that I wanted to bring and conclude it with is that how do we do this? Now, it's very easy to say, don't be attached, don't be attached, don't be attached, but again, this dream is too real. It is too real for all of us, right? We have invested so much energy into it. Well, there is a story of a man who, he went to a particular church, and then his friend asked him, so what do you think of that church? Do you like it? And I said, I don't know, but I know in that church they really like sin, because they're always talking about it. Sin this, sin that, sin that. And that's what very often happens. We keep talking about the negative things. Oh, we need to overcome this negative thing and overcome that negative thing, and I have this particular negative quality within myself, and we become sin conscious. We just think about the bad things that we have, or other people have, or the world has. So again, yogis, great energy, but we realize that yes, there is certain things that we had to act with self-control. We had to prevent our energies from going to that direction. But I think we all have been taught that the best way to overcome is to put energy into a positive direction. So even Jayaji recommends, okay, you have some bad attachments, attach yourself to some things that are good, right? And in the end, we want to have no attachment at all, because it says in the Gita that chains, though made of gold, still bind you. So positive attachment, they are like gold chains, but they are still chains. It still is something that we can more easily let go. And it's something that will usually get our energy in the right direction. So even thinking of being attached to good things, it may be also a little bit difficult to wrap our heads around, perhaps. So what we had to really do is say, okay, where can I positively put my energy that will help me get away from certain delusions that I have? So I have the attachment to noise, which is like being on the phone all the time. That's kind of a static noise, whether you are watching something or not. It is noise that is going on. What can I do to get something positive? Not from the phone necessarily, but some positive energy that I can start letting go of that. And you realize that in this way we start detaching ourselves from these experiences that we seek, that we crave. And when we do that, we feel that freedom, and then we feel that joy that comes with that freedom. And when you experience some of that, it just encourages you to do more. And that has a certain propulsion of its own that we say, yes, this feels good. Let me do more of that. Let me do more of that. And that's the way to get this freedom, is by one step at a time, putting this energy out towards the positive, so that the negative doesn't even interest us anymore. And if we are even wiser, we will not do this alone. Yes, God is the doer. Very few of us are at that point in our lives. So we can say, instead of God is the doer, God and I are the doer. God more than me, but we did this together. And like that, we include the divine in everything that we do. And eventually we realize that, actually, I am not even in the picture. It's just God who is the doer. But that has to be a conscious act. It cannot be just a mental affirmation. We had to put our best energy and bring as much as we can that inner awareness that is just the way to our freedom and joy. Om Guru, thank you all.